Hi, it's Mark from Top Local Lead Generation. We're here with Mr. Bernie Pollock. He's the owner of Pawlik Automotive. It's been voted 12 times as the best auto service and auto repair place in Vancouver by his customers. Pretty amazing strategy, pretty amazing results, pretty amazing mechanic, quite honestly. And how are you doing this morning, Bernie?
Doing really well. I just want to add to that, we just won our fifth Air Care Quality Care Award. Not that that matters so much anymore since Air Care is gone in a couple of weeks, but it's nice having that recognition for quality repairs that we've done in the past. So just something to add to our list.
Absolutely. Well, I think it's just a recognition of the, quality of service that you guys offer and that you're so
Absolutely.
passionate about,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. And I will say that the my name's on the certificate, but it's my team in the back that does most of the work these days. So I have to give them the credit. I feel a little guilty my name's on it, but anyways, it's we're all a team, so it's good.
Awesome. So we're going to talk about Volvos.
Yes.
Uh, Volvos are, they've got this big Swedish rep. They're the big strapping blonde guy that says we're durable, we're super safe. Do they really live up to those kind of claims, I guess?
Well, yeah, I've worked on Volvos for many years, and in our shop we work on lots of them. I mean, we've worked on them since they're the boxy cars of the past to the new sleek round look that Volvo has. Durability has always been a strong point with Volvos, but like any other car, you got to maintain it to make sure it stays durable. So they don't just last on their own. It's a commitment of the owner as well as the build of the car. Interestingly enough, the vehicle with the most mileage record, most driven record, is a Volvo. And I just looking at it this morning, the owner, he's got over 3 million miles on this vehicle. I think it's a 1965 P1800 model, which is kind of a little sporty car. 3 million miles. That's apparently drives 85 to 100,000 miles a year. So this guy loves driving. He obviously loves the car and he takes care of it. So it shows you what you can do if you really take care of your car. As far as safety, I mean, Volvo's always had a reputation for safety. They've been an innovator in a lot of safety features. I think the three-point seat belt, shoulder belt, which we all take for granted, was a Volvo innovation. Um, that being said, I mean, vehicle safety standards are really high these days, so I don't know if Volvo really has that edge that they used to, but I mean, they certainly do still build safe cars.
So how are they to work on?
Volvos have always been a bit unique. And over the past decades, couple of decades, they've become even more complex. Up until the early 1990s, all Volvos were rear-wheel drive. Then they went to the 850 model, and that was a front-wheel drive, and they've basically switched over to front-wheel drive, and then followed with all-wheel drive, which is easy to add on to a front-wheel drive model. So they've gone with that configuration. So they're way more complex to fix, and a few more things tend to go wrong with them because of that. We've made all the investments in the equipment to fix them, and there are some unique pieces of equipment that are needed. We made all the investments so we can service all the newest of Volvos. The older rear-wheel drive model Volvos were really reliable, but they did require frequent service. Things like the timing belts only lasted less than 100,000 kilometers. The drive belts would get noisy and creaky. They had some strange ways of mounting some of the accessories, and the bushings would wear out. Also, the 140 and 240 series Volvos, they had a really interesting brake design, really safe. What they did, they had a four-piston brake caliper, and instead of having one brake line to each caliper, they actually split the caliper in half, so the brake system is split. So if you were to blow a brake line on one of these Volvos, which didn't happen very often, but if you did, you'd still have half of both your front brakes and one rear brake operating, which is it was outstanding. Actually, I owned a Volvo once where that happened, and it almost braked just as well as it on half the brake system as it did on the whole brake system. So it's really pretty awesome. Unfortunately, it costs a lot more money to fix that than your average brake system. But again, there's the safety aspect. Volvo dropped the system when they introduced the 740 models. I guess they didn't think it was necessary. So, and anyways, that's that.
So you have a client with or you owned a Volvo at one time, and you have a client with a high mileage Volvo. What's that about?
Yeah, well, okay, so yeah, I did own a Volvo a long time ago. I had a '71 Volvo 144, which is your typical boxy four-door Volvo. Nothing very exciting. They built those from the late '60s into the mid '70s. Um, What really impressed me about the car at the time, though, is that it had like the most comfortable seats in it, and it was really practical. Like there was a lot of room inside the car, even though it wasn't huge. Used a four-cylinder engine, ran pretty well. Got you anywhere you wanted to go. It was peppy, but not like your typical American muscle car of the day. But just a really good use of space and comfortable, innovative for sure, and European thoughtfulness, unlike your American kind of indulgent car where they just concentrated more on just putting a huge engine in and everything else just kind of flowed along. So speaking of high mileage Volvos, yeah, I've got one client, drives a 2002 S60 model, nice car, all-wheel drive, turbo, it's nice, peppy, fast. Takes really good care of it. The car's got 327,000 kilometers on it, and it drives like a brand new car. Just recently it developed a little creak in the front strut plates, which we'll undoubtedly fix at some point in the near future. But I mean, super reliable, runs just like a brand new car. It really shows you, what happens if you take a good car and take care of it. It'll last a long, long time.
So as we're learning and doing these, what sort of every car has its own idiosyncrasies. So what sort of issues do you see on Volvos?
Mostly, there are not that many concerns. I mean, it's mostly routine maintenance, oil change, and some brake repairs. As the cars age, there are further service items needed. Timing belts, usually around 160,000 kilometers. There's some oil leaks that develop from the engines, and check engine lights seem to come on these vehicles frequently on certain models. And for a variety of reasons that need to be fixed. Other than that, like I said, brakes, which are sort of a normal kind of repair item.
Sure. Any problem areas, unlike the Land Rover that you kind of dealt the death blow last time?
There definitely aren't. These definitely aren't in the Land Rover, Range Rover category. But some Volvos have their issues. Transmissions are sort of the major problem. Ever since the 850 was introduced, the front-wheel drive, there was a lot of transmission problems. The older rear-wheel drive vehicles, like nothing, they were pretty much bulletproof transmission-wise. But the front-wheel drive models have a lot of problems. Like the XC90, which by the way is just an incredibly nice vehicle, sport utility vehicle, they have a lot of transmission problems, and which can cost upward of $8,000 to $9,000 to fix. So that's a pretty hefty repair.
That's expensive.
It sure is. And it could well be a reason to avoid an XC90, even though it's just an incredibly beautiful car to drive. At least if you buy one, be prepared that you might be spending a lot of money in your transmission. So
any other problematic Volvos?
We work on a lot of S40 and V40 models. They're the same thing. One's a station wagon, one's a sedan. These are the compact Volvos. They have a four-cylinder turbocharged engine, nice, efficient little operation. But they seem to, as they get older, they seem to have quite a few problems. Oil leaks, drivability issues, check engine lights. They're nice cars, but we kind of get the feeling that they're not built quite as well as the more expensive, larger model of Volvo.
Any other final thoughts on Volvo?
Overall, I like them. I mean, they've evolved from the high, it's like kind of a slightly upscale utilitarian kind of vehicle into peppy, sporty luxury cars that we see today. I say sporty, but they're still practical. I mean, most of the Volvos we work on are all four-door models, but they go nice, they feel nice to drive. It feels like you're driving a sports car, but it's a practical family car. They're quite reliable, but they're kind of typical of a European vehicle. A little bit more goes wrong with them than Japanese, so you'll probably spend a bit more money on maintenance and repairs. But overall, they're a great car, and that's it.
Great. So we've been talking with Mr. Bernie Pollock. You can reach him at PawlikAutomotive.com and his amazing team. Book your service, book your maintenance. That's kind of the message of all these. Look after your car, and your car will look after you.
Absolutely.
Give them a call at 604-327-7112. Book your appointment. Thanks, Bernie.
Thanks, Mark. We'll talk again soon.
Bye.